Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline Comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Creating beyond calculation, beyond politics, and beyond the big two. Welcome, Silverliners, to the wonderful world of Wednesday Wham! I'm your host, Dean Zachary. I'm joined tonight by a lot of folks that are ready to talk about ghost stuff.
Let's get spooky.
But not limited to Barbara J. Kelberg, the Empress of the Inks, Rob Davis, the Paragon of Pencils, the Wizards of Wordplay. We have Scott Wakefield and Rory Boyle, and we are also honored to have a special guest tonight, Roberta. Roberta,
hi.
Roberta.
Hey.
So good to have you.
Thank you.
The Queen of Colors.
Oh, no.
Moniker,
Yes, I like it.
I think it works. I think it works just great. Well, as I said earlier, we're going to talk about paranormal experiences on a personal level tonight, personal ghost stories, as it were. And as we were talking before we went live, there's some folks tonight who have some really good, scary tales to tell. And I'm going to hand it over here to my co-host, Scott Wakefield, to share with us one of his
we're jumping right in.
I'm going to hand it off and
right into the deep end.
So
I do love ghost stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to believe about ghosts. I don't know what they are. I don't know what's going on, but I like being scared.
Sure.
I like ghost hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And I go on them when I can. I don't like paying for them because I'm poor. But I've been on a couple guided ones in Buffalo and one in New New which is really cool.
Oh, yes, I've been on that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a really cool city. The Laurie house. Is it redundant to say the Laurie house? Is the one that Nicolas Cage owned for a while?
Oh, yeah.
It's like that 3-story, real iconic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I
got
don't know
cool,
about that
cool
one.
history. Like the kitchen burning down and the owner having people chained to the kitchen and all that sort of stuff. It's crazy. It's a cool. Look up the.
In New Orleans.
In New Orleans.
Yeah. Oh yes, I do know that one.
Yes.
Yes.
Nolans. New Orleans.
Yes, that was on the ghost tour.
I love being scared. My wife's aunt lives got some crazy stories about her house, and we went and camped out there with borrowed government equipment that may have been able to see in the infrared spectrum.
Borrowed government equipment.
It may have. This may have gone over my car. I don't know how it happened, but I would like to point out that this equipment was so old that it had to be connected through coaxial cable.
Oh my God.
And so it was that old, and that shows you how up to date some of our government agencies are with their law enforcement and capability. Anyways,
cutting edge.
And I do live about 50 yards from a really cool old cemetery, turn of the 1800s, 19th century stuff over there. Really cool, and it's the West Middlebury Cemetery. If you want to look it up, it's lots of every place seems to have the most haunted whatever in its whatever, most haunted cemetery in the county north of the this and west of the that. So across the street from my house, this was before I lived here. I got a buddy that we like to get scared, and it was a night. We just said, let's just go walk around in the cemetery. And this was quite a while ago. This was pre-smartphone, and we actually had a digital camera. So we had read that in the southwest corner, the one corner that people have all these instances of stuff happening, and we've seen the listed as a woman named Mary and a woman named Elizabeth, and someone that they feel like she's the protector of the cemetery, and it is the older section of the cemetery. And so we were walking around. It was fall, and we were taking pictures. Well, first of all, we realized every time we took a picture, the flash would ruin our night vision, and then we realized our breath was getting in the photo. We see puffs of our breath. Okay. So it was me, my brother, and my buddy Scott, and we. So what we would do is whoever had the digital camera, they'd count down 3, 2, 1, and we'd all hold our breath and close our eyes, and then take the picture. And we realized that would eliminate our breath being on there, and we weren't getting it. We were getting cool night shots of a foggy autumnal cemetery.
Perfect.
Yeah, until we started getting, and now I got to go here. I'm going to go over, and forgive me, I don't know how to share my screen, so just 1 second. I'm going to bring up the photos that I sent to Dean, and I will then figure out how to share my screen. So we started getting these cool shots. We're looking at the camera. So here, how do I share my screen? Do I click present? Is that how it works?
Try and see.
I'm going to click present.
That's a new button. Present. I'm going to say yes.
I see it.
Yeah.
I'll say screen sharing is these. Screen sharing works with. Okay, share screen. Okay. Do I want to share my entire screen?
Share your window. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, share that window.
I don't want to do it yet. Oh, wait. It won't do my. I'm going to do my entire screen. That's okay. Will you see it if I do my entire screen? Let's see. All right, folks. Let's try it out. Here's my whole screen. Hello, there's me again. So I'm going over to Facebook. So if you can see.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to brighten it. So really cool. They could just be motes, but when you zoom in on them, they've got a really neat pattern to them. So then got another neat one. This one's up close. Up high.
Oh, wow.
You can see that little cool. Now, this is the next one. This was after my buddy Scott was talking and saying Mary, Elizabeth, and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. We got this.
Whoa.
Oh. Cool. So I see it. I see a distinctive face. Right in the middle.
And arms? Does it look like their arms around, reaching downward?
Yep.
Oh,
wow.
So it was,
that's a good one.
We saw that. We all got chills, of course. We're standing there.
Somebody didn't hold their breath for that one.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like once we started holding our breath, we all, and two of us weren't even anywhere near the camera. So so you can see the frost on the grass. I think it was late November. In Western New York, so
that's a great capture.
That's a great capture. And that's the only one, and none of the rest we got nothing else on the camera, and so that's like the closest thing. How do I unshare?
Oh, that's me. Yeah.
Is that you dancing? Oh, that's so cute.
Oh, and that might have been I think it was my niece and her son, my great nephew. I am a great uncle. Yes. So that's the one. I am old. The one time that I've anything I've got heebie-jeebies and gotten scared, and of course I've been really cool. I feel creepy. Ohio State University. Look that up. It's really cool. It's Ohio State has 5 cemeteries equidistant around Ohio State. Bizarre. And specifically around one dorm room, and apparently this dorm room is haunted, the witch, and there's all the weird things happen. And so this was like way back. the security was real lax. I mean, they were really nice. We showed up. It was Columbus Day weekend, I remember, and in Ohio, it was beautiful in mid-October, and we just said, "This is what we're doing. We got our cameras. We want to go check it out." And the security guard's like, "Yeah, I'll walk you up." He opened the door. He walked upstairs with us to this dorm room, which is like the part of a utility room now, because he's like, "Yeah, I know the stories. I know the dorm room." And we walked around, nothing, whatever. But
there weren't handprints on the wall.
No, there was nothing. But then across the highway and around, and I think it might be part of their property now. There is an asylum. Okay. It's empty. They do tours, and of course, it's a tourist thing now. But their cemetery, it's kind of sad, but also kind of creepy. All of the headstones are just numbers. So to save money, there's no names, they're just numbers. And the first 13 are in a circle.
Wow.
And so it's weird.
Very weird.
We were filming, and my brother thinks he got some sort of something on the camera, but it's like one of those. Could this be? And you would play it back slow. If this was a ghost hunting show, they'd spend 10 minutes playing
it back. What do you think? What do you think?
He clearly says, "Get out, or you'll die."
He clearly says my name when it's
clearly. Did you hear that? Clear as day. Yeah, if it were a show, my brother would grab my shoulders.
It's a good brother.
So, that's my experience. I've got lots more stories of hunting, but that's my one.
That's pretty cool. Very nice.
That's a great story.
Yeah, great story. I'm going to move on to the ladies now. I want to hear from Barb, Empress of the Inks. Barb, you have a few ghost stories that you're going to share with us.
I have a few.
Okay.
I have one from several years ago before a spate of experiences later on. But I had an aunt and uncle who used to live in Dallas, Texas, and they lived in a really ritzy neighborhood along with all the Dallas Cowboy players.
Okay.
And we went down to visit them. My dad, my mom, and my husband and myself went down to visit them. They had a beautiful home. And it had apparently been built by a guy who was very, very particular about it. And then he had later on, he had sold it to them and got into a nursing home and died. And when we got there, my aunt, she says, "Now just be aware that we have a ghost." I'm like, okay, how do you know this? And my uncle, he was really super picky about how his house looked. He was very house proud. And he used to rake the shag rug.
Oh,
my mom vacuums her way out of the house.
Yes, and he was very, very similar.
Right.
Yep,
Sorry.
very, very similar. And one time, as they were getting ready to leave the house, he was raking as they did, and backed out of the house. And the carpeting was perfect when they left. They went out, had lunch, came back, and there were footprints in the shag rug, and they led down the hall and into a utility closet one way and never came back out.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, so they're saying and he walks at night. Just be aware.
Wow.
And my husband did not believe in ghosts. He goes, "Yeah, that's not."
That's not. No.
I'm like, well, at that point, I was on the fence. And so we went to bed that night, and about 2 a.m. in the morning, we hear somebody in the hallway. I said, "Okay, Dick, you don't believe in ghosts. Go open the door."
Go check it out.
No. Chickens out.
Come on.
He chickens out. So the next morning, we get up, and we're all 6 of us sitting around the breakfast table. And I says, "Was anybody up in the middle of the night?" And everybody said no, because they all had en suites to their bedrooms. So there was no need to get up and use, a restroom out there. It says, "Well, somebody was walking past our door, walked down the hall and came back." And my aunt and uncle said, see? And my dad was like, "Are you sure?" And at that point, there came a knock from the door leading into the garage. And we're all 6 sitting there like, who could that be? And they knocked again. And my uncle gets up and answers the door, and there is no one there, and the garage is closed. So there's no way to.
That's so cool.
Oh, that's a good one.
So Dick, my husband, became a believer after that.
That's so
good story. I mean, it wasn't just one; it was all 6 of us sitting there, and there was somebody knocking on the door leading into a closed, locked garage. So it wasn't just me.
So did he ever do any research about what was in the house, what had happened?
No.
Do you know? Okay. No. See, it's one of those things like when I watch ghost hunting shows and there's the family that says blah 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 is all happening, and then they never look into it because I want to know did something happen
they
here?
They speculated because the guy that built the house was very particular about it. He loved the house, but he was forced to give it up and sell it. So they
someone
think
else
it was
is there.
The previous owner.
Yep. Like
great story.
The Winchester Mansion, right?
That's very cool. Hi, Brian. Brian says howdy.
Hello,
folks.
Brian.
Howdy.
And wow, that's a good one. You were there, you experienced it, you heard the noises, they were authentic, you saw the footprints in the shag carpet. So
yep, and there were 6 of us, so it can be all 6 of us can vouch.
Can
for
attest
it.
to that.
So cool.
Mm-hmm.
That is very, very cool. I'm going to move along now to our guest, Roberta. Roberta, what do you think?
Hi.
You got a story for us?
Well, I got little stories. I think
Okay.
none of them is as involved as the last ones, but there's some strange occurrences that I've had.
Okay.
I'm going to move on to one of my really earlier experiences when I was before I was a teenager. I had a friend of mine that was getting a little bit annoyed by what she called a poltergeist. So she was and this was something that had started up and was taking her stuff constantly.
Ooh, cool.
Taking the things in her house, hiding things that she needed, like her driver's license. I think it took like 12 of them, and she was having a very hard time replacing them. So my part, the thing that I actually witnessed, so we had, we were neighbors. So I went over to her house after a phone call. She said, it's doing really weird things right now. It hid all of our groceries again. It would take, her mom would come down with a bag of groceries, lay them down, and then get mad because it would be gone. The bag would be gone and the items would be gone.
Okay, like when you say gone, relocated or literally?
Yes, relocated.
Okay,
relocated.
Okay.
They would be all over the house in weird places.
So crazy.
So she called me and I came over and she said, what's freaking me out right now is there's a drawer, a desk drawer that she had that she opened, and some of the items were in there. So she freaked out. So she took them out and she put them away and she closed the drawer and she opened it again and another item was in there. So she called me. Wow. She's like, oh my God.
Wow.
So that was a great story. I came over and we
awesome.
got 3 items materialized out of it. Who knows how?
Where? That's amazing. That's
really weird.
And teleporting.
If I don't want to run.
So it made too many questions for my little mind. I really had no idea how to process it.
Were there specific times of day that this would happen? Would it could be day, night, any time?
Yeah, it was all over. It was all over.
But
that was cool.
Wife's aunt and uncle weird. Have very similar stuff.
Wow.
Stuff being so they were renting this huge 1800s house, 2-story, and they didn't want to heat the second floor, and so they had closed a stairwell and put a couch in front of it. Okay, and they were just same thing, Roberta. Their mail, they would regularly find mail either on top of the cupboards in the downstairs or upstairs on the second floor, or they would find the mail and their daughter's toys up in the widow's peak, the widow's watch thing, all the way up. So like the 3rd level of the house.
It's like the same stuff.
Yep. It just and they started to realize when they I brought the mail in, set it on the counter.
Oh no!
Did you move them? Did you throw it away? And then they started realizing we've got to check upstairs. Made no sense. And I'm sorry. My brother-in-law, teenage boy, sleeping on the couch at the foot of those stairs, middle of the night, like Barb, you're talking. He heard all the way down the stairs to the foot of the stairs. on the other side of the door where he was like sleeping on that couch, and then back up the stairs.
Those are really good creaky noises.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
Oh, I have a thing to add about that story. Also,
Yes.
because you were mentioning about the third floor, I was playing in my friend's garage one time. It was a detached garage, and I saw something that shouldn't be there up in the rafters, and
Please
we
tell me it's not mine.
discovered a whole bunch of the missing items up there in
Oh my
the
goodness!
garage in the dust. A whole bunch of them,
Wow.
including an enormous stuffed animal that who knows how it got up there. That was
Oh my
really
goodness!
That's so cool.
crazy.
Creepy.
I like to watch the ghost shows, and they always have the skeptic explain these things. And they always come, well, given the tectonic movement, it could have been like they always come
The
like you're like
gravitational.
you'll believe that, but
Yeah.
But you won't believe that. Yeah.
Aliens.
with
Well,
the combined mind power of everyone feeling things are lost, it could
Yes,
move telekinetically.
Sure.
Yeah, those are so crazy. Those are-
yeah. I don't
That's
believe
great.
it's us. I really don't.
I don't think so either. I'll take a moment here and share. This is not particularly creepy in terms of scary. This is more eerie. Both my wife and I, both our sets of parents have passed on, and her mother the most recently. And you know, as you guys may know, there's a lot of paperwork the year and a half or so after to kind of tie up loose ends for their estate and so on and so
Oh,
forth.
boy.
On many occasions, Kate, my wife, will be searching for a certain paperwork or a Bible that her mom would have special information written in and so on. And she'll look and she'll go back to the place and it'll be there where she needs to find it. That has happened on a couple of occasions. Whatever she needs will be evident to her when she walks in her mom's room.
Wow.
So again, not really creepy in the scary,
No, it's helpful.
What a
in a
helpful
helpful,
mother.
eerie sense.
Yeah.
And in just a general way, both of us have experienced during times of either high stress, where it's going to be a very stressful day at work, we have something stressful we have to do, and we're nervous about it or anxious about it. She and I will both find either pennies or dimes or nickels where there weren't there before. And if we pick them up and check the date, quite often, not every time, but quite often, the year will be a significant year. It'll be the year they passed on, one of our birth years, something that is related to us. Now, you could say, well, Dean, you're just projecting, you know, you're just fine. But no, I mean, when you go into a room and there's nothing on the floor, and then you go back into the room and there's a dark penny on the floor, and you pick it up and you look at it and it's your birth year. I mean, well, I don't know. That's happened more than once. So I don't know if the apportment trick of dropping nickels or dimes or quarters, I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but that's something that happens regularly at our house. So
Interesting.
For what it's worth, interesting stuff. I'm going to move on now to Rob, the Paragon of Pencils, because I know Rory's got a lot more than just one. So I'm kind of saving him for a little while. But Rob said he's got a story for us.
Ghost stories like girlfriends.
And it's not a ghost story. It's
One in
just
every town.
It's something that I can't explain. It's kind of a paranormal experience. Growing up, I did not know how to use chopsticks. I would attempt to use chopsticks and could not use them. One night, I went to bed, went to sleep, and dreamed that I was a Chinese printmaker. I was hunched over. I had a bad back. I was hunched over, carving out the shape in the wood. And my wife walked up. I can only think it was my wife, walked up with a bowl of rice and some vegetables and handed it to me. And it had 2 chopsticks in it. I picked it up, used the chopsticks in the dream, ate the bowl, woke up the next morning and could use chopsticks.
Whoa. Jimmy, just
That's
without
good.
effortlessly use the
Yeah,
I mean, no
effortlessly.
struggle.
Wow.
Wow.
Because I saw
Two
myself
realities
use
bumped
them in
there
the
for a second.
dream,
Mhm.
and I went, "Oh, that's how you use them effortlessly in the dream." And the next morning, I could use chopsticks.
Fascinating.
That's awesome.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
that's
Definitely.
not a ghost story, but it's I can't explain it.
Definitely
it's a
paranormal.
paranormal story of some sort.
That
In a
is.
past, I
Paranormal.
always say, I don't know what it was, but I always say, well, I was a Chinese printmaker in a past life.
Well, sure.
And I just saw.
Or shared
a-
knowledge of some kind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I don't know where it comes from, but I think, well, maybe in a previous life I was a Chinese printmaker, but so yeah, that's my story.
That's creepy. That's
I
a
like
good
it.
one. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take that one. We got to take what we can because we don't have the scariest person here with us tonight. Aaron, the contrarian. He's supposed to be on his way later, but we'll just see what
Yeah.
happens there.
I don't know.
He's a severe
The moon came
skeptic,
out
so
and became a
he probably
romantic,
doesn't-
and
He probably doesn't
Look
believe
at
it.
No,
So look what happened.
Roberta, you're in
Yeah.
so much trouble.
Tommy's,
Uh-oh.
you're in trouble,
Traitor.
Roberta.
I know.
Tell
I wasn't
Tommy we
here on
forced you
Sunday.
here. You couldn't. You
Yes.
couldn't.
I
I've
had
been
to.
screaming.
I had to take this one. Come
She
on.
had to.
Tommy, we
Right.
needed her.
We're just
Our
more
show
fun.
is
We're
our
just
show
more
is
fun,
just
Tommy.
so awful. And she raises the level.
Yeah, it really does. It elevates the content because
Yeah,
we
we're
often
all-
descend off the rails
Yeah.
and end up in some
We'll keep
strange
on track.
adventureland that no one wants to go to. Rory,
Can I
so
tell you? Can I tell you a tiny story?
You
Oh, yeah.
can tell
A
whatever
very
story
short
you
one.
like. You're welcome. Go for it. Let's.
It's your
Oh,
show.
I wanted to add a little New Orleans story.
Mm.
I did one of the ghost tours, and those are fun. You know,
Yes, they are.
I'm not really sure what it was called. I think it was the blacksmith one, the oldest bar, the one that's leaning
Oh yeah,
over.
I've been.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like down and in and little and.
Is it Jean Lafitte's?
Probably that sounds right. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's got to be it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we were looking at that one, and it's a crowd of people, and we're all in there, right? Just
Mhm.
looking at it. Well, my camera would not take a photo in there. So I had this back in the day before we had our cell phones and whatever, that the digital cameras that we had, they would focus manually, like the
Autofocus,
lens
yeah.
would autofocus
Yeah.
and you'd see it like zoom. So every photo that I tried to take, it minimized down to a tiny spot. No matter who it was, I couldn't take a photo of them.
Eerie.
Yeah, so the camera would just do that. I would go to take the picture, I'd have it framed, it'd go so that I see the mirror in the back every time.
Mm.
That is
So one of the
Spooky.
photos, there was a shape that looked like a face, and I don't have it here, but I wish I had.
Oh, wish you did.
But
That's
it was
pretty-
cool. So like I couldn't take a photo in there, and it didn't, and it was working fine before and after. It wasn't the camera, but it
Oh
was weird.
gosh.
That's
That's a
Something.
good one. Baldwin says hello. Baldwin says that he has a ghost story. It'll take
Ooh, I'd like to hear
type-
it.
Yeah.
Type it
to
out.
come on
Type-
mobile if
get
you
those
guys will
thumbs.
bear. We will bear with you. Share it when you can.
Typos and
In the
all.
meantime- In the meantime, Rory will
Rory.
share the first of many. So the floor is yours, my friend. Go for it.
Scene one, act one, scene one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Earliest I can remember would have been high school, so end of high school ish. So 04, 05 is when I graduated. Leaving my parents' house.
Seriously,
He's
you're
a
child.
baby.
Okay, anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah,
a
I graduated
baby.
in 05. Relax. I'm just a baby. I have two siblings. My brother had already moved out, so him and I had shared a room. I had it all to myself. That was
You're
great.
fine. Yeah.
Get the bunk bed out of there. Get a big bed in there. He left his old TV in there, so it was great, right?
Okay.
So I fell asleep.
Little did you know, Rory, how
Yeah.
where life that moment in time, how incredible it was.
Perfect.
Getting your blockbuster videos, the tail end of
late fees.
yeah, you,
man.
You didn't know. That's okay.
Be
All right.
kind. Rewind.
Yep.
Remember all that?
No.
Sure. Yeah.
Continue. Sorry.
So I had one of those old box TVs, right? That was like 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet on top of the dresser.
That weighed
Like-
80 pounds.
Oh, yes.
I had one of
Yeah.
those too in
And
college.
it was front heavy because the screen's 5 inches
Yep.
thick.
Just-
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got it. Yeah.
So I'm leaning up against my wall on my bed watching TV. Lights are off except the closet. Closet doors wide open, bright light in there, lights up the whole room.
Mm-hmm.
Fall asleep. Wake up, snow on the screen, right? Because broadcast was ended.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
Turn it off.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Turn it off. And I go to lay down, and out of my closet, floating like a foot off the ground,
Uh-oh.
moves this black amorphous figure with raggedy edges.
At least your underwear.
Unclean. Comes floating out and stops. And it is blacker than the shadows behind and around it. And it just turns towards me and just freezes. And it is not a good air. The air just turns fearful. I'm frozen. And this thing is just staring me down like, several feet off the ground. And then it moves backwards through the door into the hallway. And so, like any sane person would do, I pulled the covers over my head.
Yep.
I can't get you.
Protect
Right?
you.
Of course.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Kevlar blankets.
My mother-in-law, she said when she was little, she would turn off the lights, run and jump into bed,
Yes.
and then pull the blanket up, but fluff her hair out, because if some monster was going to come and get her, it would grab her hair first.
Wake her up.
Wake her up, of course.
Yeah.
So, and she'd be protected for that
logic.
split
Good
second.
logic.
Yeah, that's like, 4-year-old kid logic.
Yeah, why not?
The hair would,
Of course.
at that moment.
That's creepy.
That's crazy, Rory.
Rory, what
So-
about? Did you? Okay, there was no. Was there a noticeable lowering of temperature in the room?
It did get colder.
Okay.
It did.
Okay.
So it's like several months go by. I'm laying in bed, and I'm a good Catholic boy. I'm saying my prayers at night, saying my
boy.
evening
Good
prayers,
job.
my
Yeah.
vespers,
Mm-hmm.
and I would get this male raspy voice this close to my ear, like saying, "Stop, don't." And it was like almost like I could feel hot air in my ear.
Whoa.
And I just kept praying because that's what you
Yeah,
do, right?
because
When you're a good Catholic, you just keep going, Hail Mary.
I know, right?
So,
Grace.
You
yep.
go,
so in the basement of that house, it was shaped like a block U, right?
okay. Okay.
And if you were at either far end, out of the corner of your eye, you would see shadows walk by. Like no matter where you were, you would see them on the other side. And I was telling my parents this for years, and they're like, "Okay, youngest, right?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good imagination.
Right.
fella.
So, like, oh wait, I joined the Coast Guard, move out, and the same things start happening to my sister. I told my parents about it. I didn't tell her about it.
Ooh.
Then they get the house blessed, and everything stops.
Oh, yeah,
Like, okay,
don't
yeah,
believe
believe the
you.
middle child, right? So I joined the Coast Guard. I get on my ship, the Venturous, which of course every ship in the Coast Guard and Navy is haunted.
Haunted.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
You learn
this
that like
chief
on the
fell
first
overboard.
day. Hey, welcome
Yeah.
aboard. By the way.
Yeah. So you know it's haunted. So
Yep.
I was in the main control room and the engine room. We have a closed circuit TV of all the engineering spaces. So the air conditioning room that also has like the gray and was it Blackwater, Brownwater tanks or whatever. And
Gross water.
yeah, and so it is like the walls are all painted white in those rooms, and the TV goes to the air conditioning room, and there's thick black smoke pouring out, which on a ship, fire's a bad thing.
That's
Usually
well,
that.
and I'm-
Usually.
And I'm the
Mhm.
lowest ranking on watch, so Chief hits me in the chest and goes, "Get down there now!" So I get down there, and the door is open. We don't leave doors open on ships because that's a flooding issue. And if you leave it open, you have to like log it open and tell everybody that it's open.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I go in there, look at the camera, like nothing here, no smoke. Close it, boom, neck. Days, weeks go by, and we have boilers on the ship for hot water and steam power. And 2 people always have to be there to open the valve, let out excess water, close it, and you log it. Both people sign their names, making sure there's no open systems. Me and the electrician's mate go down there, open it, close it, done. The next watch had a problem where that was open and it back flushed the whole system. Like, that's impossible. Like, we all made sure that was closed. Like, you have to like wrench it and tag it. So that was a weird one.
Wow.
That is a weird one. Can you pause for a moment,
Yes.
Rory? We have a viewer who
Okay.
wanted to share one.
Yes, yeah, please.
Baldwin has said that he joined the U.S. Navy in
Squid.
2014 and was stationed in Japan for about 5 years. Thank you for your service, Baldwin. My house was about an hour from base, and I always had to take the same train home. There were 2 train stations in the city the base was in. One was much quieter rather than the town center train station that was always busy, so he would walk to the extra few minutes to the quieter station. Now, one of the things about the military is you work from 8 to ? And one night, about 8 p.m., I walk out to the station to head home. I got to the station, and there's one platform that is going my way and one platform that is going the other way. Across the tracks was a man dressed in regular conductor clothes. He was standing with his back to me, facing the wall. He was standing so close to the wall, it looked like his nose was touching the wall, and a few people passed him and didn't seem to take notice. That is creepy. Whether that's the
That is.
complete story or not, we're getting into
That's already entered creep land.
it's
Yes.
already entered
Yeah.
creep land. Oh, here we go. And Baldwin continues. So the direction I was heading, we had to immediately head into a tunnel. So I was looking at this spectral figure, presumably he was standing in the against the wall with his nose to the wall. And it was strange, right? The strange man turned and looked at me just before I headed into the tunnel. From what it looks like, Baldwin, nobody else saw him but you. So either you're a sensitive or that was intentional as a message to you. Very, very creepy. Excellent story. If that continues, please.
Oh yeah.
So, in the meantime, continue, Rory.
So after the ship, I get stationed in Buffalo, New York, where
Beautiful.
a beautiful friendship blossomed with.
Wait. We have it. The guy. Here it is. Here's the sting. Here's the ending. The guy turned and looked at me. His face was just skin, no nose, no face,
Too weird.
no eyes.
Too weird.
Don't you hate that? That's like a Twilight Zone.
Slender Man.
Oh,
I'm sorry, where was this geographically? I missed
Japan.
that. The ghosts kicked me
Japan.
offline.
Yeah, he was Navy in Japan.
And see a naval guy. Mm-hmm. Very cool, Baldwin.
Ooh, that's scary.
Sharing that. Wow. That's inspiring for a
I
comic.
wonder if that was a atomic bomb blast survivor.
Ooh, good
No.
call, Rob. That's creeping me out. Okay, Rory, back to you, my friend. I know
Okay.
there's more.
So I get stationed in Buffalo,
Okay,
and
that's scary enough.
Whoa.
Hey,
Whoa.
and it was
Just saying,
I know you
just-
live.
this was when was Deepwater Horizon? 2010.
2010.
something like that.
10?
Yep.
Okay. So I get
remember
deployed
it.
to Deepwater to New
Distinctly.
Orleans for a month, and I come back
1 month.
and 1 month, just a month. Sorry, and I didn't even work a lot.
Okay.
So, so I resume my normal routine of showing up to work, and I get home one day and my door's unlocked. I'm like, okay, and my coffee mug isn't where I left it on the counter. All right, that's weird. Maybe I'm just misremembering things. Maybe I didn't lock my door. The next day, I come home, door's unlocked. Coffee mug's not where I left it. Doors are closed, and I'm a bachelor in a 1-bedroom apartment. I don't close any doors. No reason to. I don't lock anything except my front door. So I call up the office. I'm like, hey, do you guys do like a fire inspection or change smoke detector things or whatever? Like, no, we'll call you if we go in. Okay, well, that didn't happen. Things would start moving around. I'm like, all right, this is a little weird. Eventually, it tapered off. So then I get to Puerto Rico. I get stationed in Puerto Rico, and I'm living in the barracks for like the first 6 or 7 months. And the ceilings are like 12 feet high. They're just enormous. I wake up one night, and like the bathroom light is on. It's indirect light shining on the wall. Still pretty bright. I wake up one night, and floating almost to the ceiling is that same black, amorphously raggedy-edged figure.
Oh,
Looking down at me. And it's even more freakish because he's higher up, or it's higher up looking down. And I'm like, okay, I know this one. And I just sit there, and I make sure I'm awake, right? And then it goes through the wall into my buddy's barracks room. And he works at the station. I'm at sector. We get up same time, walk to our building together. And I'm like, man, he says, man, I had the craziest dream last night. There was this black figure chasing me around the woods. And I'm like, well, I have something to tell you. And I tell him, and he's like, man, don't tell me that.
No,
My friend.
Yeah. He's like, man, oh, gosh, no. Yeah, and so
that's a good one too. Yes.
So then I get to Jacksonville, and so it took me like a solid 3 weeks, 4 weeks to find an apartment. I'm staying with a friend. So get to my apartment, everything's moved in. Things are great. I'm laying in bed, and of course, all this stuff happens at like 3 in the morning or 3:33 in the morning. I wake up and look at my clock. 3:33.
No, of course.
Of course. At the foot of my bed is this black humanoid figure, more human shaped, like more defined shape. Just black silhouette at the edge of my bed, blacker than the closet behind me with nothing. And there's no lights on, but I can see this in the dark. And it's looking down at me. I'm like, oh gosh. And it's just that presence of evil and fear and like it wants to make a point. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna sit up with this one until I pass out from exhaustion or something. And like a few days go by, I wake up, there's 2 at the foot of my bed.
Ooh.
The next day, 3. A few more weeks go by. Eventually they're standing shoulder to shoulder all the way around my bed. And I'm like, I'm not quite sure what to do with this.
That is crazy.
And so the fear factor kind of reduces because it's happening more often and it's almost expected.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, enough of that. I get my ass back to church. And I had friends stay the night. And so I let them use my room and I slept on the couch. They were a little transient. They woke me up at 3:30 in the morning and saying, oh, we just saw something, and they saw the same thing, silhouette of a human being at
a single shadow.
Shadow, but it woke them up. They said it woke them up.
Same
and
time.
I didn't tell them about it. Yeah, same time.
Okay.
I hadn't told them about it.
What did you tell them to get them to come over?
Oh no, they were going through town. They were just crashing for a night or 2.
So you told
They
them
were transient.
nothing?
I told them nothing beforehand.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I had
Tommy says, sounds like either Rory or his beard has a ghost following him.
It is
agree.
directly proportional.
Yes.
Growth of beard, growth equals number of ghosts.
It's like a magnet.
I want to take a break here to continue with Baldwin's report here, just very quickly here. It says, I turned to Google. Apparently, the spirit is called a Noparabo, a spirit that will follow you around just to scare the person it latches to. This is the faceless being. He continues, I now live in Ohio. I still see the spirit or demon or wherever in the dark corners of my house.
We need to get together.
Just like a spooky shadow. They don't scare me as much anymore, but he is very surprising. Oh, yeah, just dark
Baldwin,
shadows.
let's
in the
look out.
house.
Well, if it's not doing anything,
it's just hanging out.
If it's not affecting her,
Not calling her Hiroshi-san.
He even came up with a name for this friendly ghost, friendly dark shadow figure, whatever.
Hiroshi-san.
It's not all the time. I call him Hiroshi-san. Very nice. And he says, but it's still very surprising.
Yeah.
Yes.
No doubt.
You can imagine it's very surprising. Baldwin continues, most people think I'm making it up, but I know what I saw. My wife has never seen him. This has been going on for almost a decade. It's just a part of my life now. And hey, well, you and Rory should talk. Maybe go to a shrink together. Just kidding. No,
let me know a part about
it. My experiences later on and can almost all be corroborated by more than one person, more than me. So, which is really fun.
Yeah.
As a lot of you are aware, my brother passed on almost 2 years ago, and he's been a very friendly ghost. He's not Casper by any means, but he does like to prank, and it's very obvious when he's doing something. The house that he was living in was my grandparents' house. It was built in 1890, and they had rented it out previous to moving into it, and the renter died there. And we used to get pictures of amorphous white blobs in the corner from there. I never liked it. And then a few years back, my brother's wife died very suddenly from a heart aortic problem on the kitchen floor. So she died there. And then my brother also died there in the house. And of course, we became the trustees of the estate. And it takes, like you were saying, it takes about 1.5 years to go through everything.
It does.
And during the course of going through the house and cleaning and everything, I happened to grab a handkerchief out of his drawer. This belonged to my brother because it was hot. It was in the middle of the summer. I wrapped it around my forehead to catch the sweat. And I worked with it on for the rest of the day. And that evening, my husband said, "Where did you get that?" And I said, "Well, I got it out of Dave's drawer." And he goes, "Is there any more?" And he goes, "No." I said, "No, that was the only one I saw. It was still in the package." He goes, "Damn, I'd like to have one of those." So we went to bed, and we got up the next morning, and Dick went downstairs, and he had a briefcase with him that had all the legal stuff that we would haul around anytime we would go down to Iowa. And there on top of the briefcase was a nice folded up, brand new bandana. And he goes, "Did you put this here?" I'm like, "No, I did not put it there." So my sister comes over, and we are telling her about this story. And she goes, "Oh, that is weird. That is so freaky." She had come over to look at the furnace because it was acting up. So she goes down into the basement to the furnace, and there sitting on the furnace is another one for her. So he handed them out. And a few weeks later, it was time to have an estate sale. So we were getting ready for the estate sale. I was cleaning out. He had a fully operational automotive shop with 3 bays in it. So it took me like a week to clean that out, clean it up.
No doubt.
The first thing I wanted to do was to sweep the floors because they were absolutely filthy. And I had seen, and I knew he had it there. He had a plastic dustpan that sat in the corner. And I swept the floor, and I went to get the dustpan, and I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere for that dustpan. I mean, I was getting so frustrated. I knew it was there. So I finally gave up, and I turned around. It's like, "Fine, you couldn't help me out just a little bit." And I'm yelling into the air. And I turned around to pick up a license plate to use in place of the dustpan. And I turned back around, and there's the dustpan right in the middle of the floor. I'm like,
Amazing.
"Okay, this is the way it's going to be."
Thank you.
Right?
Thank
right.
you.
A day later, my sister is setting up the display of his antiques out on the lawn. And I walk past, and I see this dustpan sitting up against the antiques. I said, "Where did you find that?" She goes, "Find what?" And I said, "This antique dustpan." She goes, "I don't know. I thought you put it there." I'm like, "I didn't put it there."
Oh boy.
It's big.
Yeah, this is an old fashioned.
More helpful.
Hopper. Yeah. I said, no, I've never seen it before in my life. She goes, "Well, I've never seen it before."
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, he's playing jokes again. So he has done multiple things. I could go on for an hour on the different types of things that he has pulled. So he is having a great time hanging around with the love of his life, his wife. They're both hanging around the house and just pulling pranks.
That's a good one. Now, again, I'll ask: are these happen any time of day or night? There's no commonality. Wow. Okay.
Nope. He just randomly pulls pranks, does stuff. For the last 2 years, I've had the same phone. And you have your iPhone or whatever phone, and every day you turn it on and you get a photo of this happened 2 years ago today. Right?
Yeah, a memory.
Yeah.
pop up.
Right, a memory. I've had the same photo for 2 years, and it's all the same photo of Dave
Oh.
until the second anniversary of when it was taken, and that was just a few days ago. And now all of a sudden, I'm getting the correct photos. So after 2 years of having his photo come up every single day, it has moved on.
Interesting.
Wow.
Well, you know,
And I've shown that to other people too.
and perhaps, you know, they say when you speak of the dead, sometimes it brings them. Maybe you'll get something tonight after the show. You never know, but it's going to happen.
He has other routines that he pulls with my sister and his two daughters that are specific to them.
Mm-hmm. But you know, in other words, there's no doubt it's personal. It's directly from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Baldwin, this is interesting. Baldwin continues. He says his uncle died one afternoon from a massive heart attack. We were never really close, but he loved him. He still visits me in my dreams, and we have some food and just hang out. I miss him, and I'm not sure if it's my subconscious or what, but I like those dreams. Yeah, I have visits from deceased loved ones as well in dreams. I'm sure that's common. He says, God bless it. I know ghosts ain't real or whatever, but sometimes when you manifest people in dreams, it makes it special. He says, I wish my wife could have met my uncle Mike. They would have got along really good, but he passed and she never did. Death is a rough thing, and we all have ways of dealing with it. But sometimes those dreams that include those that have passed on help us along quite a bit. I want to jump back for a moment to Rory, who has more stories to share. So, before
I give you the most recent accounts, just know that I've shared these stories with very few people, especially like the whole gamut of stories. And I'd say about 3/4 of them, after I've told them this, have had their own similar experience.
Interesting.
Oh, so you're going to pass it on to
Wait, you're great. Now the millions of our viewers now, Rory.
Urban legends now
are affected by it.
All
Good job.
Now.
Yeah,
good job.
But I've
I'm a circle of watchers. I really don't want that.
So I've had half a dozen people say, you know what, like not so long after you told me that, something happened.
And they say sharing is caring.
Yes.
Lord Misery loves company.
Oh, yeah.
So, since moving back home to Ohio, I'm staying with my parents, helping them fix up the house and the property, about a nice 3 acres, with a lovely view over the valley. And I'm going to school full time. And the people who owned the house before us were the original builders. So they had it for 14, 15 years.
Okay.
One of their sons was in the Marines, a couple tours in Iraq, came back, and unfortunately ended his own life. And we didn't know that for the first few months. We're fixing the place up, but each of us individually had the feeling of being watched, or we were in the laundry room, and it's got like an awkwardly long hallway into the laundry room, and you'd feel like there was something at the end of the hall looking at you. And after like the first 4 or 5 months, I brought it up to my mom. She's like, you know what, your dad said the same thing, and I had that same experience too.
Oh, corroboration.
So we had the house blessed, and we are almost certain it was that young man looking for his mom, because he would come home as often as possible. And having known the previous owners, that she would do his laundry because, you know, she's like wanted to feel like, oh, I'm your mom, I'll do your military laundry. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Mom.
Yeah,
Isn't it a law that you have to disclose if somebody has died in a house before?
But he didn't end it here.
He
was
just
so
came home.
attached to his parents that this was home.
He just came home. I get it.
These are people, and that's where he knew them to be.
His silver string runs through that house.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we had our priest come and bless the house, and haven't had any of that since.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
and to dovetail with Ohio State being so haunted, I go to Ohio Dominican University.
Okay.
So the nuns that founded it as our St. Mary of the Springs Academy is an all-girls college. They came from Tennessee, and then they got orders like, hey, you guys need to pick up and go to Ohio and start there. Well, the Dominicans have this unique, not charism, not trait. They do this thing where wherever they're at and their loved ones or the other people in the order have died, like the other nuns, the other brothers, monks, priests, they dig them up and bring them with them.
Oh,
So we have a graveyard on campus with nuns who
God.
have never lived here.
Oh.
Wow.
There's a book called Haunted Ohio, and we are about a good eighth of that book on our campus.
Jesus.
Wow.
And so every year, which this Friday is the next one, we have an annual haunted tour of campus.
Cool.
So we have the oldest building on campus is Worley Hall. And you walk in and you think it should be the chapel. It is shaped like a mini cathedral, but it's the art building. And it has nearly escaped fire like 3 or 4 times. And one time the fire department was called and said, hey, there's a fire in this building. Park here. This is how you get to it. And so the fire department shows up and like the directions were wrong. Like there's no driveway on this road. There's no walking path. There's nowhere to park. There's no fire department hookup. And so the president and people who run the grounds got wind of it, showed up, and they're like, oh, that's, yeah. They told him, like the fire department told him that's not where everything was supposed to be. And one of the nuns who was the president, who was like ancient because nuns lived to be 200 years old, was like, wait a minute, where did they say to go? And it said, oh, this way, this way, this way. She goes, oh, there used to be a road and path that way. And the number that had called the fire department was from the building, from the basement, where there's no longer any phones.
Whoa.
So they think that one of the nuns who had passed away was watching over the building.
One of the nuns they carted along with them when they moved in.
Never know.
That is such a weird.
My Latin professor is so funny. Whenever I had him for 2 semesters, and I'm doing some research with him right now. Whenever he's in the classroom talking about Dominicans or women, the door opens, like without fail. And he jokes that it's the nuns just checking up on him to make sure he's keeping it real.
Good story.
Yeah.
We have a part of a building that it used to be the theater. It's no longer the theater, but there was a production back in the whole Academy University thing started like in 1911, and this was like 1920 something. They had a production where they needed fire in big, like shallow basin cauldrons, right? And one of the backstage nun helpers, one of the rats backstage, the cauldron had fallen over, and so she picked it up herself, and so the curtains didn't catch on fire. Picked it up and dragged it outside. Well, she was so burnt that they had to amputate her arm because it was just unsalvageable.
Oh my God.
And so that area is now the chapel. And when you're in there alone, sometimes you see a one-armed nun standing off to the far side, and that one I have seen.
You have seen this.
I've seen, and it's just her walking down the side, and it's gone. It's like a mist gone, and it's a little unnerving.
Yeah, I can
I
imagine.
mean, nuns are unnerving to themselves,
but then a spectral nun with one arm.
Yeah,
pretty much.
You must be very sensitive.
And it's
I think you are, Rory. I think you're a magnet.
It's not.
Did you
just
have a ruler?
He
Tells the ladies he's real sensitive.
It's the ladies, yes.
The ladies like him because
my dad is super sensitive. My mom, my sister, my brother. My brother doesn't talk about it. My mom's dad died when she was 16, 17. And he was in the hospital, and she was at home, and she was so tuckered out, she took a nap on the couch. He woke her up to say goodbye.
Ooh.
Whenever I've been in situations of extreme stress, sometimes on the boat, boot camp, stuff like that, I know when my mom is praying for me, and I feel it, and it's just instantly in my mind. And we've compared timelines, and
and it matches.
My sister and my nieces and myself haven't had anything happen to that until after Dave passed. But he's very active with us now, which is really strange.
My sister and I will play a game where we'll actively try and like call me. 2 minutes later, hey, just thinking about you.
Yes, definitely sensitive. I'm gonna jump in here briefly. Baldwin has another quick story he's sharing. He says, I went to Spring Hill College in Mobile, Alabama. It was founded in the 1830s. Our oldest functional building was built in 1866. One night after a party, I was walking across campus back to my dorm. I heard some knocking from a third-floor window, and this was at 2 a.m. Looked up towards the windows, and there was the pure white face staring back at me. I blinked, and the face was gone. But was there alcohol involved, Baldwin? That's the question when you're talking about a college campus.
Right.
You gotta think. I'm just kidding, of course. But no, there's a lot of campus hauntings. We've all been to universities where there's the haunted floor, the haunted dorm, the haunted room, this, that, and the other. The haunted chapel.
Flagler in St. Augustine, Florida.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It looks like
I
a
went to
Spanish
Iowa-
Hogwarts, and that is definitely haunted.
I went to Iowa State University. There's stories like that there.
There are stories like that. Brent Larson, welcome, my friend. As you can tell,
Brent.
we're talking ghost stories. Did you have any experiences you wanted to share with us tonight to kind of add to the creepy atmosphere of our final Halloween show?
Yeah. I mean, the reason I'm late was because of the experience I just had, which was I just finished watching Werewolf by Night because I thought that's
excellent.
We are going to talk about it. We here in the last few minutes, we are going to talk about Werewolf by Night. Briefly, Baldwin says, now, yes, sir, there was alcohol involved. Knocking to other people. I heard it. We thought so. Baldwin. Very often it is when you tell tall tales, but we do believe you. We believe you until we're proven otherwise. Brent, so Werewolf by Night. I did want to bring this up now. Now, not everyone has seen it, so in respect to those, do we do a spoiler-free review? Is that what we're going to try for tonight, kids? Rory, you and I and Brent are the only ones I think who've seen Werewolf by Night. We'll do our best to keep it spoiler-free. Brent, since you brought it up, my friend, lead on and give us your review. What did you think?
I thought it was fun. Largely, that is how I'm judging most of the Marvel properties.
Well,
fun.
It's fun.
I feel like we're kind of past the greatness stage of maybe we'll come back around. We'll find out.
Sure.
It was fun. It was its cleverness factor was higher than an average Marvel property these days.
Good.
Yeah.
It was black and white, and it was told in a very
that.
creature feature kind of style.
Yes.
With the camera, dated camera angles, and all that kind of fun stuff.
Wow.
So
Very good.
yeah, I'd give it a good thumbs up.
Yep. Same.
Without any spoilers at all, were you pleasantly surprised by the special appearance of another character that you didn't expect? Because I was. I thought that was a brilliant turn of events there.
Let me just say I have not been terribly careful in my nerd news consumption, and so I was not that surprised.
Okay.
That was pretty fun.
That was pretty fun. I like that as well. I just a little trivia about the show. It's directed by a gentleman named Michael Giacchino, who is also known for being an accomplished film soundtrack composer. And this is his first directorial debut here. And it's interesting how a lot of times those talents will cross over. He's got a great sense of aesthetic as far as tell he grew up watching the Universal monsters on late night TV like we all did. So there's a great nod to that, not only in the makeup aesthetic, but in the lighting with the black and white, the camera work, the fact that the whole thing is shot on a sound stage. It's fun, and there's a lot of winks and nods. It's got enough creepy scares in it that make it cool. But of the recent Marvel offerings, this is one of my favorites. I liked it better than Moon Knight. What about you, Rory? Any additional thoughts?
I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was just the right runtime, and they didn't force cram a whole bunch of stuff into it. It was just fun. No big jump scares. I mean, it almost felt like there could have been jump scares or should have been, but it wasn't. So, which made it more enjoyable. Just the right amount of turn of plot.
Yes. Yes.
It was good. Yeah, I mean, couple scenes were a little bit slow, but that's the aesthetic of the callback to old monster movies.
The old monster movies.
So,
those were slower storytelling styles. Yeah,
it really was.
So I enjoyed the heck out of it more than I thought I would.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I highly recommend
it helps
this one
build.
for if you're a fan of the Universal monsters. Definitely check this one out.
Yes.
If you're a fan of werewolf stories, check this one out because I really liked the blend. We've all seen the werewolf movies from American Werewolf to The Howling to some of the other ones, even Twilight. Oh my! Where you have a full range of transformation to full beast form to hybrid form with a wolf head to mostly humanoid with the wolfy face like the more traditional Universal stuff. And they pulled off a really good version for this. Nice. And it's not overly gory or anything like that. It is very much
I would think the black and white monochromatic helped with that because there was still some.
There was some copious violence. I was actually like, I'm not sure if my 8-year-old niece should watch this movie or this whatever it is. Yeah, but
I understand that the fantasy level
black and white.
The reality a little bit for me, kind of like when you're watching a Godzilla movie and thousands of people are getting killed, and you go, "Oh, it's a Godzilla movie, right?" So kind of
what else you can do with a giant lizard?
Oh no, there goes Tokyo.
go Godzilla! Yeah, nice
Godzilla.
Excellent, but highly recommend it for those of you fans of the previously mentioned material. This has been a great show. I appreciate everyone sharing their personal stuff as we get close to wrap up time. Is there any other stories that we want to share or visuals? It looks like Barb, you're wanting to share something here. I'd love to see what you're gonna add to some. Oh yeah.
Ooh. I like it.
Wow, that looks familiar.
Yes, it does. I wonder who penciled that.
Yeah, I penciled that. That was just a pin up for fun that I did for a Werewolf by Night idea. There's Hannibal King on the left there, who's also a vampire hunter.
Barb.
That was fun. That's a great job.
That's cool. Good job, guys.
Speaking of Barb, we're only a couple weeks away, right, from a momentous moment for you, right?
Talk to us, Barb.
We have a big Kickstarter coming up with, I believe, 5 different books, and I know that one of them is Trump's.
Trump's number 4?
Yes, number 4.
Okay.
I can't remember the other 2 off the top, or the other 3 off the top of my head at the moment. I'm sorry about that.
Are they doing Pendulum? I think they are.
Pendulum, yes, Pendulum, and then there's a couple of remixes, and then Divinity number 3 will be Kickstarter.
Woohoo!
Whoa!
Wow!
Great.
Yes, finally. I know it's been a bit of a lag in getting those out, and I apologize for that.
That's life, right?
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I did my best to help out.
You did. Rob helped out in the latter half of the book because I got to the point where I had my penciler just doing the figures to maintain consistency with the look, and then Rob filled in the backgrounds, and he did a fantastic job.
Great.
I don't know what we would have. It would have probably been another several months. It wouldn't have helped out.
Looking forward to seeing that. Before we go, Scott, can you give us a little tease for next week's stream?
Oh, excellent. Yes, I would love for everybody out there to watch this. We're going to divert from the metaphysical and the supernatural and the spookiness to talk about world building. We have 2 guests, Scott and Todd Housel, who have created the Kumighty world. And if you are my social media friend, count yourself lucky first, and then next.
I know Aaron does.
I've been trying to blast out there the news of this. The Kumighty story is coming to Zoop in the next few weeks, so we will have them on to talk about their long journey to create this huge, expansive story world. And I'd love if you join us if you have questions. We'll probably try to we'll let them talk and see how they got to where the story is now. But we love talking story creation, characters, and so forth. So that's our discussion next week. So be here.
Yes. Join us next week.
Same
and
channel?
same bat time.
Maybe not the same bat time.
Same Silverline
approximately
time.
the same bat time. And
But,
same bat people? I don't know.
Yeah, we like to close all of our broadcasts the same way. And some of us have props. Some of us just say it. So when we like to say, make mine.
Make mine Silverline.
Silverline.
I'm Pat Broderick. Make mine Silverline.